Alex had always lived a life full of hurry and noise. Every day seemed like a race from one task to another, a constant struggle to meet deadlines and responsibilities. Mornings began with the shrill alarm and rushed showers, followed by quick breakfasts, eaten on the go. The workday was a blur of emails, meetings, and phone calls. Evenings were no different, filled with errands, household chores, and obligations that never seemed to end. Alex had grown used to this pace, thinking it was just how life worked. Until one day, something unexpected happened that would slowly change everything. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when Alex went to visit a friend who lived in a small, cozy apartment not far away. The moment Alex entered, the first thing noticed was the sound of music. It was soft, gentle, and flowing through the room like a calm river. A piano played a melody so soothing that Alex felt a strange warmth spread through the chest. There was no rush, no urgency, just a gentle wave of calm that seemed to slow down time itself. For the first time in months, maybe even years, Alex felt completely relaxed, as if all the weight of daily life had lifted for a brief moment. Curious, Alex asked about the music. The friend smiled and explained that it was a recording of classical piano pieces, selected specifically for relaxation and emotional healing. The idea seemed unusual at first. Alex had always thought of classical music as something old-fashioned, reserved for concert halls or school lessons. But there was something different about this moment. The music did not feel distant or formal. It felt alive, present, and comforting, sitting there, listening. Alex closed the eyes and let the melodies wash over the mind. Every note seemed to speak to a different part of the soul. The soft hum of the piano felt like a gentle hand on the shoulder, offering reassurance and peace. There was no need to analyze or understand. It was enough to just be. The busy thoughts that usually filled the mind started to fade. Deadlines, worries, and frustrations seemed smaller, almost insignificant. For the first time in years, Alex experienced a moment of pure calm. After that visit, Alex could not stop thinking about the music. It lingered in the mind like a pleasant dream. That evening, back at home, Alex opened a laptop and searched for similar music online. Hours passed unnoticed as different pieces played one after another. Some were soft piano melodies, others included violins or gentle orchestral arrangements. Each piece created its own atmosphere, its own mood. Some brought a sense of nostalgia, reminding Alex of childhood days and simpler times. Others felt like a warm hug, comforting and safe. There were even pieces that seemed to inspire hope and courage, as if the music itself was speaking words of encouragement. Alex decided to create a playlist, a collection of 25 pieces that seemed perfect for moments of relaxation and reflection. It was a deliberate choice, not random. Each piece was selected carefully, based on how it made Alex feel, the emotions it evoked, and the sense of calm it brought. Listening to the playlist became a new habit, a small but meaningful ritual in the busy life. Some evenings, Alex would sit quietly with a cup of tea, letting the music fill the room. Other times, it was played in the background while doing chores, yet its effect was still noticeable. Even when multitasking, the soothing melodies seemed to slow down the relentless pace of life, bringing moments of clarity and peace. At first, the change was subtle. Alex noticed a little less tension in the shoulders, a slightly calmer breath, a softening of the racing thoughts. But over time, these small changes became more significant. Sleep improved, with nights that had once been restless and interrupted now becoming longer and more restorative. Stressful moments during the day were no longer as overwhelming, as if the mind had learned to find a safe space within thanks to the music. Alex began to recognize the healing power of these melodies, not just for relaxation, but for emotional balance as well. Curiosity turned into fascination. Alex began researching the composers, learning about their lives and the stories behind each piece. It was surprising to discover how emotions, struggles, and joys were expressed through simple notes and rhythms. Some composers had faced hardships and yet created music of incredible beauty. This knowledge deepened the appreciation of the music, making every piece not just a sound to listen to, but a journey to experience. Alex also started noticing how the music affected the day-to-day life. small irritations no longer caused as much frustration. Moments of joy became more vivid, and simple pleasures were savored more deeply. Even interactions with others seemed smoother, as if the calm from within was spilling outward. It was not magic, but it felt transformative. The 25 pieces became more than music. They became companions, each one offering a moment of healing, reflection, or inspiration. Friends and family began to notice the change in Alex. There was a new sense of patience, a gentler tone in conversations, and a more relaxed presence overall. Some were curious and asked what had caused the change. Alex would smile and share the playlist, explaining how each piece had brought calm and clarity in different ways. The reactions were mixed, but some were intrigued enough to try listening themselves, and often they too found unexpected comfort in the melodies. The more Alex listened, the more personal discoveries emerged. Certain pieces seemed to awaken memories long forgotten, some happy, some bittersweet. It was a reminder of how deeply music could connect to emotions, bridging gaps that words could not. The act of listening became meditative, a time to reflect, to breathe, and to simply exist without constant worry or pressure. Each note, each pause, each harmony was like a small conversation between the music and the heart. It was during these moments that Alex realized something important. Life would always be busy, challenges would always arise, and stress would never disappear completely. But there could be balance, moments of peace amidst the chaos. The 25 pieces of classical music were not just songs. They were tools, teachers, and friends. They offered a way to reconnect with oneself, to find calm in the storm, and to heal from the unseen strains of everyday life. Alex began to keep a journal alongside the listening habit, noting which pieces brought the most comfort and what emotions surfaced. Some pieces encouraged deep reflection, others sparked creativity, and some simply allowed a mental rest, like lying under a tree on a quiet afternoon. Each entry reinforced the realization that music had the power to change moods, perspectives, and even actions. As weeks turned into months, the routine of listening became a cornerstone of life. Alex would sometimes lie down with eyes closed, letting the melodies flow, feeling as if the world had slowed, even if just for a little while. Other times, the music played softly in the background while cooking, reading, or walking. It became an ever-present source of calm and renewal. It was clear that this was not a temporary fascination. The discovery of classical music for relaxation and healing had opened a new chapter in Alex's life. A simple visit to a friend's home had sparked a journey of inner peace, emotional understanding, and personal growth. It was a reminder that even amidst the busiest and most stressful lives, moments of beauty and calm could be found, often in unexpected places. Alex knew that this was just the beginning. The 25 pieces were a starting point, a carefully chosen guide to understanding the profound impact music could have. The journey ahead promised more discoveries, more reflections, and more moments of healing. Each day, each melody, each note would continue to teach, soothe, and inspire. And for the first time in a long time, Alex felt a quiet certainty that life, while still full of challenges, could also be full of peace, beauty, and calm. All thanks to the gentle power of classical music. Alex's journey with classical music deepened with every day that passed. After spending weeks exploring the 25 carefully selected pieces, the effects of listening began to become more profound. It was no longer just a moment of calm in a hectic life. It was shaping the way Alex felt, thought, and even moved through the world. The soft, flowing notes started to touch areas of the heart that had been untouched for years. Moments of stress or tension no longer seemed overwhelming. They could be met with patience, reflection, and sometimes even a quiet smile, as if the music had quietly taught a new way of responding to life's pressures. The first noticeable change was in sleep. Nights that had once been restless, tossing and turning with racing thoughts, were now filled with a sense of deep rest. Alex would put on one of the 25 pieces in the evening, lying in bed with eyes closed, letting the music wash over every muscle and thought. The melodies seemed to carry away the worries of the day, and slowly, a peaceful stillness would settle over the mind. Even the act of breathing felt lighter, slower, more deliberate, as if the music had unlocked a rhythm that had been missing. Slowly but surely, the body and mind began to heal from the cumulative effects of years of stress. During the day, the music had a surprising influence as well. At work, when meetings grew tense or deadlines loomed, Alex would remember the calming flow of a particular piano piece. Taking a deep breath and recalling the gentle harmonies brought clarity and focus. Tasks that had once felt stressful now seemed manageable. There was a new sense of balance, a recognition that while the world might rush around, a person could still find a place of calm within themselves. It was a powerful feeling, one that gradually reshaped the way Alex approached challenges. Alex also began noticing emotional shifts. Feelings of irritability or frustration no longer dominated the mood. Instead, there was space for reflection and understanding. Certain pieces, with their long, drawn-out melodies, encouraged deep thought. They brought memories to the surface, some happy and some bittersweet, and offered a gentle way to process emotions that had long been buried. Alex started to journal these experiences, writing down how each piece made the heart feel, which memories were awakened, and which emotions were soothed. This practice became an essential part of the healing process, helping to strengthen self-awareness and emotional resilience. Music became a companion during everyday routines. Washing dishes or preparing meals no longer felt like chores. They were moments to listen, reflect, and be present. Even simple walks became richer experiences when accompanied by the music. The notes seemed to sync with the rhythm of footsteps, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for meditation and mindfulness. Alex discovered that classical music was not just for quiet, solitary moments, but could transform the entire texture of daily life. It brought a sense of harmony to otherwise mundane routines, creating pockets of joy and serenity wherever it was allowed to flow. As the connection with music grew stronger, Alex became fascinated by the stories behind each composition. Research revealed the lives of the composers, the struggles and triumphs that had shaped the pieces. Some had endured deep personal loss, while others had faced societal pressures or illness. Yet they had poured their emotions into the music. Understanding these histories added a layer of depth to the listening experience. It was as if the melodies were not only offering comfort, but also sharing lessons of resilience, courage, and the beauty that can emerge from hardship. The emotional impact of the music soon became evident in social interactions. Friends and family noticed a new calmness, a quieter patience, and a gentler approach to conversations. Alex began to feel more present, truly listening to others without the usual rush to respond or the distraction of endless tasks. Relationships seemed to deepen, not through dramatic gestures, but through small, meaningful attentions, a smile, or the ability to stay calm during disagreements. The music had taught a subtle, yet powerful, lesson in emotional presence and empathy. It wasn't just emotional growth that Alex experienced. There were moments of creativity and inspiration as well. Certain compositions seemed to spark ideas, whether for work, personal projects, or hobbies. A soft violin melody could open the mind to new possibilities, encouraging innovation and imaginative thinking. Alex found that listening to music could act as a bridge between relaxation and productivity. It was no longer a choice between being calm and being active. Music had shown that both could coexist, each enhancing the other. There were also times when the music revealed a deeper understanding of personal challenges. Difficult memories or past regrets would sometimes surface during listening. But instead of causing pain, the music provided a safe space to process these feelings. It was as if each note was a gentle hand guiding through the shadowed corners of the mind. Gradually, Alex realized that the music did more than just calm. It helped to heal old wounds, offering clarity and perspective that had long been elusive. Encouraged by these experiences, Alex decided to share the music with others. Small gatherings became opportunities to play the 25 pieces, observing how the music affected friends and family. The response was remarkable. Many felt the same soothing effects, even if they were initially skeptical. Some expressed surprise at the emotional depth and the ability of music to touch the heart in unexpected ways. This sharing created moments of connection, a reminder that the healing power of music could extend beyond personal experience to influence others in meaningful ways. As weeks turned into months, Alex's commitment to listening deepened. Each day brought new discoveries, new layers of understanding, and new moments of joy. The music became a trusted companion, a guide through both the ordinary and the challenging moments of life. Even the busiest days could end with a moment of reflection, a pause, to let the gentle harmonies restore balance and calm. It was a practice that required no elaborate ritual, just attention and openness to the experience. Alex also began experimenting with combining listening with other mindful practices. Meditation while the music played became a daily ritual. Breathing exercises, stretching, or even quiet contemplation were enhanced by the harmonies, creating a holistic sense of well-being. The music seemed to amplify the benefits of these practices, making moments of mindfulness more vivid and transformative. Slowly, Alex noticed a sense of inner strength growing, a quiet confidence that came from being in touch with both emotions and thoughts. Nurtured by the melodies that had become so central to life through this journey, Alex learned an important lesson. Healing and calm are not destinations, but ongoing practices. The music did not erase difficulties, nor did it solve every problem. Instead, it provided a framework for approaching life with patience, reflection, and presence. Each piece offered a unique way to experience the world, to pause, to breathe, and to reconnect with what truly mattered. The 25 pieces were not just songs to listen to. They were guides for living more fully and gently. Even in the midst of challenges, the daily engagement with music also sparked a sense of gratitude. Alex became more aware of small joys, the sound of birds outside, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of a cup of tea, and found that the melodies enhanced these experiences. Life felt richer, fuller, and more connected. The music became a lens through which everyday moments could be appreciated in new ways, each note encouraging mindfulness, appreciation, and presence. In moments of reflection, Alex often thought back to that quiet Sunday afternoon at a friend's apartment, when the first notes had sparked a journey of calm and discovery. It was remarkable how a single experience could open a door to profound transformation. What had begun as curiosity had grown into a dedicated practice, a source of emotional balance, and a path to personal growth. The music had become more than sound. It had become an essential part of life, guiding thoughts, emotions, and actions in ways that were subtle but powerful. Through the process, Alex realized that the beauty of classical music was not just in technical mastery or historical significance, but in its ability to touch the human heart. Every melody, every harmony, every pause had the potential to heal, to soothe, and to inspire. It was a reminder that amidst the chaos and noise of modern life, there could be a sanctuary, a place of peace, accessible to anyone willing to listen and engage. And for Alex, this sanctuary had become a daily reality, a source of calm and clarity that would continue to shape life in meaningful ways. Alex's journey with classical music began to take on a new dimension, as sharing it with others became part of daily life. At first it was small gestures, like playing a favorite piece while friends visited, or suggesting a track to a colleague who was stressed. The reactions were fascinating. Some people were surprised by how deeply music could affect emotions, while others were curious to explore it themselves. Alex realized that the calming melodies were not just personal refuge, but had the power to touch others, creating quiet connections that went beyond words. One evening, Alex invited a few close friends over for a casual gathering. Instead of the usual background noise of television or casual chatter, Alex played selections from the playlist. The room was filled with soft piano and gentle strings, flowing like a river of calm. At first, the friends looked puzzled, unsure how to react. But as the music continued, a noticeable change occurred. Faces softened, shoulders relaxed, and conversations slowed. The melodies seemed to create an invisible thread of shared tranquility. and even those who were skeptical admitted that they felt lighter, calmer, and more present. Encouraged by this, Alex decided to take a more deliberate approach to sharing the playlist. Small groups were invited to listen together, sometimes in silence, sometimes with casual commentary on the feelings each piece evoked. The discussions that followed were remarkable. People talked about memories that surfaced, emotions they had been carrying quietly, and the comfort they found in allowing themselves to simply feel. Alex realized that the music was not only healing individually, but also fostering connection and empathy among others. It became a bridge between people, allowing them to share moments of quiet reflection and emotional honesty. In parallel, Alex continued personal journaling, noting how each listener responded to the music. Some were drawn to specific pieces, finding them reminiscent of childhood memories, long-lost friends, or moments of joy. Others connected with slower, more contemplative pieces that allowed them to process hidden stress or grief. It became clear that the music had a universal quality, touching each person differently, yet providing comfort in all cases. Alex marveled at how a simple collection of 25 classical pieces could spark such profound experiences. The social sharing also led to deeper personal discoveries. Alex noticed that emotions could be explored safely through music. Instead of avoiding difficult feelings or pushing them away, the melodies allowed them to emerge naturally. Sometimes it was joy, sometimes nostalgia, and sometimes sadness. But in all cases, the music provided a container for these emotions. This helped Alex understand the importance of listening not just with the ears, but with the heart. And it became a lesson that extended beyond music into daily life. Over time, the gatherings became more structured. Alex started creating mini-sessions, each focusing on a few pieces and encouraging participants to reflect on their thoughts and feelings. This became a kind of informal therapy, where the music led the way and words came later. People began to share openly about stress, worries, or dreams they had not voiced before. Alex noticed how the act of listening and reflecting together created a safe environment, where vulnerability was met with understanding and silence was respected as much as speech. The music had, in essence, become a teacher of patience, empathy, and emotional awareness. Beyond these small gatherings, Alex experimented with other ways to use music to connect. Friends were encouraged to use the playlist during meditation, yoga, or quiet evenings at home. Messages would come back, describing the subtle changes they noticed. A calmer breath, slower heartbeat, a sense of inner space that made problems feel less overwhelming. Alex felt a deep satisfaction, seeing that the music was no longer just personal therapy, but a gift to others, helping them find balance and peace in their own lives. As the practice of sharing grew, Alex began documenting these experiences more systematically. Each piece in the 25-song collection was paired with reflections on its effects, both personally and observed in others. Some pieces encouraged joy and playfulness, while others brought introspection and gentle processing of memories. Alex realized that the music could be used as a guide for emotional growth, a roadmap of sorts, helping listeners navigate feelings that might otherwise remain hidden. This documentation was not for publication, but for personal clarity and for sharing. With those who were genuinely interested, the journey also taught Alex the value of consistency. Listening sporadically brought some relief, but the most profound changes occurred when music became a daily companion. The habits of daily life, once dominated by rush and stress, were gradually punctuated with moments of calm reflection. A morning coffee could be accompanied by a gentle piano piece. A mid-afternoon break could include a violin melody, and evenings became a sanctuary for the heart and mind. Over months, this rhythm created a sense of stability, its emotional resilience, and a deepened appreciation for small joys. Unexpected moments of learning occurred as well. Alex noticed that certain music could trigger inspiration or creativity. A flowing cello piece might spark an idea for work, while a soft piano melody could ignite a personal project or hobby. Music became a subtle guide, leading the mind gently into states of focus, reflection, or imagination. This reminded Alex that healing and creativity were interconnected, both nurtured by the presence of calm, attentive listening. Alex also began exploring how music could help in moments of conflict or stress. When disagreements arose with friends or colleagues, recalling a calming piece or humming a melody in the mind became a method of grounding and clarity. Decisions were made with less tension, conversations became more thoughtful, and misunderstandings were more easily navigated. The playlist had, in essence, become a toolkit for life, helping not only with emotional healing, but also with interpersonal harmony. Throughout this period, Alex's connection with music became more intuitive. There was less need to think about why a particular piece was playing or what effects it would have. The mind learned to recognize the signs of stress, the subtle tension in shoulders, or tightness in the chest, and instinctively turned to the melodies for relief. Music had become an internal companion, always available, always responsive, and always capable of offering guidance and comfort. Alex also noticed the profound patience music taught. Unlike quick fixes or instant distractions, classical music required attention, willingness to listen, and a slow unfolding of experience. The lessons of patience, reflection, and presence began to extend into all areas of life. Rushed decisions were reconsidered, hurried conversations slowed, and quiet moments became cherished rather than wasted. The simple act of listening transformed from a hobby into a philosophy of life, demonstrating that peace and understanding often arise not through force, but through gentle attention and presence. As these experiences accumulated, Alex found an unexpected sense of purpose. Sharing music was no longer just about personal enjoyment. It had become a way to touch lives, provide calm, and foster connection. It was deeply rewarding to see the subtle, yet meaningful effects of music on those around. Alex realized that healing did not always come from dramatic changes, but often from small, consistent practices that nurtured the mind and heart. The 25 pieces had become a map, a companion, and a teacher, guiding both personal growth and the gentle spreading of calm to others. The journey of sharing also emphasized humility and openness. Alex learned that not everyone would respond in the same way, and that was perfectly fine. Some people preferred silence, some preferred different kinds of music, and some were simply not ready to engage. Respecting these differences became part of the practice, reinforcing the lesson that healing and calm cannot be forced. They must be offered and accepted freely. Music was a bridge, but it required willingness on both sides to connect. As months passed, Alex's life began to feel richer, not because external circumstances changed dramatically, but because the internal landscape had shifted. Music had created a foundation of emotional balance, mindfulness, and subtle joy. Moments of anxiety, stress, or fatigue were still present, but they were approached differently with awareness, patience, and a tool for calm always at hand. The 25 pieces had woven themselves into the fabric of daily life, providing both comfort and insight. In reflection, Alex often marveled at how a simple act of curiosity, listening to music at a friend's home, had grown into such a profound journey. The music had become more than sound. It had become a guide, a healer, and a bridge connecting people, emotions, and moments of presence. Each melody, each harmony, each gentle note had played a role in shaping a new way of living. The story was still unfolding, but one thing was certain. The music had changed life in ways that were subtle, deep, and enduring, creating a path of calm, connection, and meaningful reflection that would continue to grow with each passing day, even as Alex continued to explore and share the power of classical music. There were moments of doubt and challenge that tested the journey. Not everyone responded positively, and some people openly questioned the value of spending time on music for relaxation and healing. Comments ranged from polite skepticism to outright disbelief. Friends and colleagues would say things like, "Music won't change how stressed you feel," or "It's just entertainment, not therapy." At first, these words caused a flicker of uncertainty in Alex, who began to wonder if the time and emotional investment were really worth it. One particularly stressful week at work brought these doubts into sharp focus. Deadlines piled up, unexpected problems arose, and Alex felt the familiar tension creeping back. For a moment, It seemed as though the calm built from weeks of listening was slipping away. The idea of relying on music for balance felt almost fragile in comparison to the pressing weight of daily life. Alex questioned whether the playlist was truly making a difference, or if it was just a comforting illusion that faded under real pressure. But then came a pivotal moment. On a quiet evening after the stressful week, Alex decided to play one of the most calming pieces from the collection. The notes flowed gently through the room, and something remarkable happened. The familiar tension in the shoulders began to release. The racing thoughts slowed. There was still work to be done, still challenges to face, but for the first time that week, Alex felt capable of meeting them without being overwhelmed. It was not instant magic, but a subtle, undeniable reminder that the music was a tool, source of inner strength, and a guide through turbulence. This experience became a turning point. Alex realized that healing and calm were not about escaping problems, but about finding ways to navigate them. The music did not remove stress, but it offered clarity, focus, and the ability to respond rather than react. It was a reminder that true change came from repeated practice, patience, and commitment, not from quick fixes. The 25 pieces had become more than melodies. They were a framework for managing life with greater emotional intelligence. Alex also noticed that doubts often came from external sources, but sometimes from within. There were moments of self-questioning, wondering if sharing music was even meaningful, or if the effects were exaggerated by personal enthusiasm. During these moments, Alex returned to the journal, reading notes on the changes observed over weeks and months. The tangible evidence of improved sleep, calmer reactions, and deeper connections with friends reinforced the belief that the journey was real and valuable. The music had become a consistent anchor, a reminder that progress was happening even when it was subtle. Challenges also arose in sharing the music. Not everyone was receptive, and Alex had to learn patience and humility. Some friends preferred silence, others preferred different genres, and some simply were not ready to explore relaxation through music. Instead of feeling frustrated, Alex learned to respect individual differences. The practice became not just about sharing melodies, but about understanding and accepting the pace at which others were willing to engage. This taught a valuable lesson. Healing and calm could not be forced. It's only offered and received voluntarily. During this time, Alex faced a personal challenge that tested the lessons learned from music. A family matter brought intense stress and emotional turmoil. Normally, such situations might have led to sleepless nights and overwhelming anxiety. But this time, Alex turned to the playlist as a stabilizing force. Each piece offered a gentle guide, helping to process emotions without being consumed by them. Memories, fears, and worries arose, but the music provided a safe container. It was a delicate, patient process, allowing reflection, acceptance, and understanding. Through these experiences, Alex discovered the full depth of the healing power of music. It was not just a temporary escape, but a method of cultivating resilience. The pieces acted as a mirror for emotions, reflecting them honestly and safely. They encouraged introspection, patience, and mindful response, rather than avoidance or suppression. Alex began to understand that real transformation required both the challenge of facing life's difficulties and the support of tools like music to navigate them. The challenges also highlighted the importance of consistency and routine. On days when Alex skipped listening or was distracted, stress returned more sharply. It became clear that music was most effective when it was integrated into daily life, when it became a practice rather than an occasional indulgence. Morning routines included a few pieces before starting the day. Afternoon breaks incorporated gentle melodies, and evenings ended with a period of reflection accompanied by favorite compositions. Over time, this consistency reinforced emotional stability, focus, and a sense of inner calm that was noticeable not only to Alex but to those around. Even as the journey deepened, unexpected lessons continued to emerge. Certain pieces seemed to trigger creativity in ways Alex had not anticipated. A soft piano composition might inspire ideas for work projects, while a string ensemble could spark personal hobbies or creative writing. Music became a bridge between relaxation and action. showing that calm was not passivity, but a space from which inspiration and effective decisions could emerge. Alex realized that emotional balance and productivity were not opposites, but complementary states nurtured by mindful listening. The period of challenge also reinforced the importance of reflection. After particularly difficult days, Alex would spend time journaling alongside the music, noting how emotions shifted, what thoughts arose, and which pieces had the most impact. This practice created a feedback loop of awareness and learning. The music became both guide and witness, helping Alex to understand personal reactions, emotional triggers, and patterns of thought. Over time, this awareness grew into a form of self-mastery, a way to approach life with greater clarity, patience, and understanding. Alex also began noticing subtle social changes during this period. Interactions with colleagues, friends, and family were calmer and more empathetic. Even in tense situations, Alex could remain composed, respond thoughtfully, and navigate conflict with patience. The lessons from music, attention, presence, and emotional reflection extended beyond personal healing into relationships and daily interactions. The music had taught more than relaxation. It had become a guide for living harmoniously. Even in stressful environments, one particularly revealing experience occurred. When Alex faced criticism from someone who dismissed the entire journey, instead of reacting defensively or withdrawing, Alex calmly explained the personal experiences, the emotional changes observed, and the ways in which the music had supported reflection and calm. The conversation was respectful and thoughtful, and while the other person remained unconvinced, Alex felt a sense of quiet confidence. It was a reminder that validation from others was not necessary for personal growth, and that the real value lay in the changes experienced internally. Through all of these challenges, Alex realized that healing was an ongoing process. The music did not provide instant solutions or remove life's difficulties. Instead, it offered a path to navigate challenges more effectively, a way to process emotions safely, and a means to cultivate inner resilience. The 25 pieces had become teachers, each guiding in subtle ways, offering lessons in patience, reflection, empathy, and presence. They had transformed from mere melodies into instruments of personal growth and emotional stability. Alex also began to experiment with combining the music with other mindful practices. Meditation, deep breathing, and gentle stretching were enhanced by the melodies, creating holistic moments of calm and clarity. The music acted as a bridge, helping the mind and body synchronize, enhancing both relaxation and focus. Over time, these practices reinforced each other, creating a stable foundation for handling stress, processing emotions, and maintaining overall well-being. As weeks turned into months, the periods of doubt became less frequent. Alex understood that challenges were part of the journey, and that moments of uncertainty or skepticism were natural. Instead of avoiding them, the lessons learned from music, patience, presence, and mindful reflection were applied to navigate doubts gracefully. Even external criticism or disagreement was approached as an opportunity to practice calmness, empathy, and thoughtful response. The music had taught not only relaxation, but a new way of engaging with the world. By the end of this period, Alex had gained a profound understanding of the role of music in life. It was no longer simply entertainment or personal indulgence. It had become an essential tool for emotional health, mental clarity, and personal growth. The 25 pieces had woven themselves into daily routines, relationships, and reflective practices, providing guidance, comfort, and resilience. Even when life remained busy and sometimes stressful, Alex now approached it with a sense of balance, awareness, and quiet strength. Knowing that the melodies were always there as a source of support and insight, reflecting on the journey, Alex recognized that challenges were not obstacles, but opportunities. Each moment of doubt, stress, or criticism became a lesson in applying the calming, reflective skills learned from music. The journey had transformed not only daily routines, but also internal reactions, emotional understanding, and the approach to relationships. The 25 pieces were no longer just music. They were companions, teachers, and guides, shaping a life that balanced presence, resilience, and emotional depth. Alex knew that this ongoing process would continue, and that the lessons of patience, reflection, and mindful engagement would remain central to life. With classical music as a faithful and guiding companion, as time went on, Alex's life had transformed in ways that were subtle but deeply meaningful. The journey that had begun with curiosity about a single piano melody had expanded into a life enriched by music, reflection, and emotional growth. Each of the 25 carefully selected pieces of classical music had become more than sound. They were teachers, companions, and sources of quiet. Guidance through the complexities of daily life. The first noticeable change was in the rhythm of daily life itself. Where once the days had felt rushed, hectic, and almost unmanageable, Alex now found moments of calm and clarity woven throughout each day. Mornings began with a brief period of listening to music, even for just a few minutes before starting work. This small act set a tone of mindfulness that carried through the day. Tasks that had once seemed overwhelming were approached with focus and patience. The music had taught the value of starting slowly, of creating a space of presence before diving into responsibilities at work. Alex discovered that the calm cultivated through music had a ripple effect. Meetings and deadlines, though still challenging, were met with a composed mindset. Decisions were made with greater clarity, and interactions with colleagues were more thoughtful and empathetic. It was as if the melodies had provided a blueprint for emotional resilience, a way to respond to stress with awareness rather than react with tension. Even the smallest gestures, like a calm tone or a patient smile, were noticeable to others. And Alex began receiving feedback about this newfound presence. In personal life, the changes were equally profound. Relationships with family and friends had deepened, not through grand gestures, but through the subtle quality of attentiveness and empathy that music had nurtured. Alex listened more carefully, spoke more thoughtfully, shared moments of reflection without the need for dramatic expression. The music had become a medium for emotional connection, teaching that presence and attention were often the most powerful forms of support. Sleep, once inconsistent and restless, had become restorative. Alex had learned to use the music not just as background sound, but as a guide for deep relaxation and mental release. Lying in bed with familiar pieces playing softly, Alex would let thoughts drift without attachment, allowing the mind to process emotions naturally. Over time, this practice not only improved sleep quality, but also enhanced emotional regulation during waking hours. The simple act of listening before sleep became a ritual that reinforced balance and inner calm. One of the most remarkable effects of the journey was the development of emotional awareness. Alex had begun to notice subtle shifts in mood, reactions, and physical sensations in ways that had been previously overlooked. A tightness in the shoulders, a flutter of anxiety, or fleeting irritation could now be recognized early and addressed through mindful listening. The music had trained the mind to observe rather than react, to create space between stimulus and response, and to approach challenges with thoughtful attention. This awareness became a lifelong skill, extending far beyond the immediate experience of listening. Alex also discovered the unexpected gift of creativity. Certain compositions seemed to unlock imaginative thinking, inspiring ideas for work, personal projects, and hobbies. A flowing violin melody might suggest a solution to a problem, while a delicate piano piece could spark the beginning of a creative endeavor. Music became a bridge between reflection and action, showing that calmness and inspiration were not opposites but complementary states. By cultivating inner stillness, Alex found that new thoughts and possibilities emerged more naturally and effectively. Sharing the music with others had grown into a meaningful practice as well. Friends and family who had once been curious about the playlist now regularly turned to it for comfort, relaxation, and emotional support. Small gatherings were filled with reflective listening, discussion of feelings, and shared experiences of calm and inspiration. Alex observed how music could create safe spaces for vulnerability, where emotions could be expressed without judgment, and where connection was fostered through shared attention rather than forced conversation. The journey was not without its challenges. but Alex had learned to approach them differently. Stress, conflict, and criticism were now opportunities to apply the lessons learned from music, patience, reflection, and mindful presence. Where doubts and skepticism had once caused hesitation, they now became chances to strengthen, resolve, and demonstrate the transformative power of consistent practice. Alex had come to understand that healing and personal growth were ongoing processes shaped by intention, repetition, and awareness. Through this journey, Alex had also learned the importance of balance. Life remained busy and unpredictable, but the music provided a stable foundation for emotional and mental well-being. It was not an escape from reality, but a guide for navigating it more skillfully. The 25 pieces acted as both anchor and compass, offering reassurance, clarity, and insight in moments of uncertainty. Alex approached challenges with a sense of resilience and confidence, knowing that the tools cultivated through listening were always available. Reflecting on the entire experience, Alex marveled at the transformative power of something so simple yet profound. What had begun as curiosity about a few piano melodies had grown into a lifelong practice of mindfulness, reflection, and emotional growth. Each piece had its own role, guiding thoughts, emotions, and actions in subtle ways that became increasingly noticeable over time. The music had become a lens through which life could be experienced more fully, attentively, and harmoniously. Alex also recognized the broader implications of this journey. The lessons learned through music patience, emotional awareness, mindfulness, empathy, and creative inspiration were not limited to personal growth. They extended into social interactions, professional life, and even small daily choices. By cultivating calm and presence, Alex influenced the environment, creating spaces where others could also feel supported, heard, and understood. Music had become a medium for connection, teaching that true influence often arises from quiet, consistency rather than forceful effort. The journey concluded with a deep sense of gratitude and fulfillment. Alex understood that life would continue to bring challenges, uncertainties, and moments of stress. Yet, there was also a growing awareness that the tools cultivated through listening to music provided a reliable pathway through these moments. Each day was approached with intention, mindfulness, and the knowledge that inner calm could always be accessed. The 25 pieces had become an integral part of life, offering both practical guidance and emotional nourishment. In the end, Alex realized that the true gift of classical music was not only in the melodies themselves, but in what they facilitated: the development of awareness, emotional resilience, and a deeper connection to oneself and others. Music had transformed life into a series of intentional moments, each an opportunity to reflect, connect, and grow. The journey had shown that beauty, presence, and calm could coexist with the demands and stresses of modern life, providing balance, joy, and profound healing. Looking forward, Alex saw that the journey was ongoing. The 25 pieces were just a foundation, a starting point for continuous exploration of music's power to heal, inspire, and connect. There was a sense of excitement about future discoveries, new compositions, and the ways in which music could continue to influence daily life. Alex understood that this path would never end, because life itself is dynamic, and music, in its timeless beauty, could always offer guidance, solace, and inspiration. Ultimately, Alex felt a quiet satisfaction and confidence. The initial curiosity that sparked the journey had led to personal transformation, deeper social connections, and the cultivation of skills that would support life's challenges for years to come. The 25 pieces of classical music had become a lifeline, a companion, and a guide. Each note, each harmony, and each melody contributed to a life that was calmer, more aware, and more fulfilling. Alex had discovered that the simplest things, when embraced with attention and intention, could create the most profound changes, turning moments of ordinary life into experiences of healing, reflection, and joy.